Welcome to the MaxBet Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiskey. Let's get started.
What is going on, man? It's good to see you up and moving.
I'm alive.
You survived the vid.
I did. Thanks for letting everyone know that I had the vid. I appreciate that.
You just got to own it, man. People love you. And by the way, you're already done with it. So
yeah.
You're not.
I feel like people judge you, though. They're like, that guy got the vid.
Well, I think about it now. I don't know that I've had it. I don't know that I've had it. Listening to you describe it makes me think I haven't lived through it. I just feel like statistically everyone's going to get it. So anyone that's shaming you for getting sick is a little ridiculous.
It's crazy because it's different for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you jump on WebMD, they're going to give you like a million different scenarios.
Yeah.
Usually it ends up that I have AIDS when I get on WebMD. It's like, you have AIDS. Oh, nice. Shit, I got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was brutal. I felt like I was 99 years old with, like 100-pound camping backpack on, just cruising around my house with a big bag.
Brutal.
That's what it felt like. So I'm back, baby. I feel good. I'm not positive anymore. It's been like 2 weeks, dude. I haven't done a lot. So I'm excited to get back into the swing of things.
It's a real life.
Today's Super Bowl Sunday, bro.
Boom. I'm stoked, dude. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I definitely don't like one of the teams, so it makes it easy for me who to root for. I'm a big I'm a Raider fan, Vegas guy, so I can't root for the Chiefs. It's just like in the laws of being a Raider fan. So
got it.
So Tom Brady it is. Not pumped about rooting for him either, but Tampa Bay I got no issues with.
Tell the people what our bets are.
Yeah, we're betting. We threw in a few different bets, so we're wouldn't be gamblers if we didn't. So we bet overall that Tampa wins the game. We took the points. So Tampa Bay plus 3.5.
Yep.
And then we took that KC, however, will score first. So we think Mahomes will go down the field, probably some version of win the toss or, get the ball first, go down, put a touchdown on the board. We didn't have to bet who it was to, but I'm betting Kelsey if I was. And then we also.
You think Kelsey scores it?
Yeah.
Can we take that bet?
You probably. Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'll double check. I'll go back in the app and check that out. And then the other thing we bet was that the first score would be a touchdown. So they wouldn't just get the ball and kick a field goal. They'd get the ball, score a touchdown. So. All straight bets. We didn't parlay these, so we're not that crazy. If we tried to parlay this, you would probably get like a plus 6,000 or something. Great, like for all of this to happen would be bananas.
I'm gonna be so upset now when it happens and we didn't take the team.
And we didn't parlay it. Yeah, we just did this straight. It's all right. We'll still be up. So we're in for about 600. So anyone tracking scores at home, that's what we're doing.
And today we have the CEO of GAN on, which is Gaming Account Networks, and they're doing sports betting online. Casino as well, slots and other things. They just went live in Michigan, so we're excited to have them. And then what's cool about Eilers is if you guys are looking for a good sports betting platform, because everyone is different, you guys got to check out Eilers because they have an entire consulting team that will help you pick the best platform for your property because there's so many different ones to choose from. Every state has its own law. I mean, I've looked at a few different sports betting platforms. Some work better in other states than others. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike.
Yeah, and some offer just different bets, right? So like I don't live in Pennsylvania or Michigan, but I have the Barstool app. So you can check their app out, and it's like they got some crazy bets. A lot of their personalities will come up with custom bets. Yeah. So that's like if you like props and crazy things, you got that. Then you got more of the tried and true, the DraftKings, the skins that are provided by Game Account, the William Hills, right? So there's a ton of apps, and the BetMGM is pretty much everywhere now. So you see, they're just all over. So it really just depends what you like. And then some of them do a good job tying back to the player card, saying, hey, if you're a player at, I think we mentioned MGM, so you could get points there versus if you don't care about that, then maybe a DraftKings or somebody's even better. They could do more rewards in the apps. But all that info you can find out from our friends at Old Eilers and Kraychek Gaming, EKG.
Get prepared.
LLC. Yeah. Chris Grove writes these reports that if you're willing to read them, pretty good info. So, I mean, it's a read. I know you're not a big reader, but for people that like skimming through, it's good stuff.
I like books on tape.
Yeah, well, I don't know what he sounds like, but maybe you get him to record it for you. Just go, Landon, here's this month's Michigan gaming update for sports betting. And then around.
If you missed our episode last week, we have a new sponsor, so
big time.
Pretty excited about that. Gaming Analytics. They are the Google search of data. All AI driven, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful program. We had a demo a few weeks back, and it literally has a search engine. You type whatever you want, and it figures out the answer for you using AI.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And Kieran, who's the CEO over there, I known him back when we were at Bally together, and
Smart
he
dude.
helped oversee a lot of the development for the system. So all the casino tech, I mean, he's familiar with it. He knows how. And so he basically said, hey, what's the thing that was always frustrating? It was like this multi-system, nothing spoke to each other. So he built a thing that speaks to everything and reviews all the data in about 4 seconds and gives you actionable insights. It was pretty cool. I mean, again, I always qualify. I've never run a casino, so I take that for what it is. But looking at it from me, I'm going, it's pretty fascinating, seeing how much data is there and how much, analytics they do just automatically due to the robot inside or whatever. So it's pretty cool stuff.
You got to check it out. If you guys want to get a demo of that, we can organize that, or you can hit them up at
gaminganalytics.ai is their website. Yep. So AI is right in the name. And then, if not, hit us on social and we'll connect you to them, and easy enough. So
pretty cool demo. Even if you're not in the market for some new software for your floor, you got to check it out.
Just learning about it is awesome. I mean, just the Intel side of it.
How quick it was, man. The search engine, you just say, who are my top players for the past week? And it'll just bring them all up. Who's most likely to leave out of those top players? It'll bring him up.
Boom. Yeah. That guy gets a free buffet.
That's pretty cool.
Whatever. Now that the buffets are closed. But yeah, no, all good. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, man. I was pumped.
So we got Dermot.
Yep.
Mr. Smurfit from Ireland. So again, it's been a while since I talked to him, so I'm excited to see how much the Irish accent translates to. But you mentioned it earlier, CEO of Game Account Network. I think he's also the founder, right? CEO is title as well, but he's been in it from the beginning, over 20 years. So he's the guy to ask in some of this latest sports betting and online gaming development. So we're excited to have him on the show.
Yeah, let's bring him in, everybody.
Dermot, welcome on, brother. How are you, man?
Mike, I think you mentioned Game Account. The company's original name was Game Account Network.
Oh, we don't say that anymore?
Again, going back into the way back in time. No, it's funny. You love the story. So the way back in time archives, there's a very nice lady at Aristocrat who, in the middle of one of our meetings back in 2011, basically announced to the entire room, 20 people in the room, we're no longer calling you Game Account Network because it's too long. So we're going to call you GAN. So actually Aristocrat birthed the acronym GAN, and then it took me 4 years of negotiating with the owner of GAN.com, a retail Galaxy Army Navy store owner operator in Manhattan, to convince him to sell the URL to us. And then, of course, we buy the URL, rebrand the business, GAN.com, in September 2015. Only to find we get a flood of internet traffic from China, and everybody's going, well, why are we getting all this Chinese traffic? Well, it turns out that GAN in Chinese means fuck. So we're getting lots of traffic from Chinese people. Look, so that is definitely not technology services.
That is too funny.
I love that everyone in China is just trying to go to their version of fuck.com. Like, that's basically what they're trying to do, right? It's so good.
That's it. We'll take it.
Yeah, hey, traffic's good.
Then we have a fallback option. No, it's all good.
That's awesome. You mentioned earlier briefly, you touched on that you started with the simulated gaming right here in the States, kind of setting that. Is that still pretty popular, or is everything now just geared towards the real money? Because it seems like there's more and more states coming online for sports betting and online casino.
So simulated gaming is a really important part of GAN's kind of go to market strategy, because we get to bring these retail casino operators online sometimes years in advance of regulated real money gambling coming. And we've got a really strong conversion ratio of, converting simulated gaming clients to real money gambling clients, because we're the incumbent provider, and the retail casino operator has over time learned just how incredibly complicated it is to do real money gambling technology, because the technology system that drives simulated is exactly the same as the technology system that drives regulated gaming. And there's a ton of security aspects to data management, integrity, intrusion prevention, which a lot of our retail casino operators like. They like the fact they're building a social business on top of a regulated real money technology system that has got all these kind of additional security envelopes around it, which of course doesn't really necessarily exist in the world of apps published within app stores. Your life is much, much easier, trust me, if you're just writing a mobile app and plonking it onto Apple or Google's cloud-based infrastructure, and they're handling payments and everything else. So GAN simulated gaming is incredibly important for developing the relationships, but crucially getting the casinos to start protecting their relationships in the online channel with their retail patrons, and letting the retail patrons start to engage online, get familiar with online. A lot of them are, 50, 60, 70-year-old retail patrons who, for them, simulated gaming will be the very best offering of any kind. And the similarity between real money gambling and of course, retail gambling is kind of preeminent in driving the adoption. And when you survey the retail patrons who start playing online, you ask them, well, why are you playing online here? That you've got 3,000 different apps to choose from in the App Store. Typically, the number one reason is because it's my local casino. I love to play with my local casino. And if I can't get to my local casino, then I'll hop online and get my enjoyment factor by proxy by engaging online. In fact, snowstorm days are always the most active days online for simulated gaming. It just tells you everything you need to know. There is a significant overlap between social play and retail gaming. I think it's a bit of a dirty little secret in the B2C social casino industry that although retail casino patrons of America might well be maybe only 10% of the total number of players, they will represent 70-80% of the revenues in social casinos. And the primary driver is always the content, and the major slot machine manufacturers, Aristocrat, Cygames, IGT, they all have their own direct-to-consumer businesses. Now, IGT has actually sold theirs to a Chinese holding company. So they've kind of danced out of reach of any complaints from retail casino operators that you're competing against me in the online channel, but of course that's exactly what they're doing. So very interesting dynamics. We turn up at a retail casino store and say, all those slot machines that you buy and then you put them in your retail gaming floor, you create and seek out and play those same games in the online channel. And this is going back some years ago now, but it was always a bit of a surprise to retail casino executives when they were told your patrons are going home and playing on these mobile social casino apps. And the typical response was, hell no, that's not happening on my watch. And then of course they start to talk to the retail patrons. They find that they've typically got 16 to 20 of these social casino apps downloaded on their phone. And that's what drives as well the demand for simulated gaming, so that the retail casino can offer something better designed specifically for the retail casino patron. And the better piece is, why are you spending money online with all these third-party social casino apps? Spend it with us, your local casino that you come and visit every week for retail real money gaming, and we'll give you reward points. We'll actually give you, every time you spend a buck online, currently you don't get anything for it, but if you spend that buck online with us, we'll give you 10 cents on the dollar in reward points. So the next time you come to the casino, you've got even more, reason to come and visit us rather than a competing casino property in the immediate
Do you guys ever want to create your own content, or are you guys kind of just in the space of gathering content?
We have a big focus this year on content. Second half of last year, we announced publicly we had an M&A strategy, and we're looking at diverse different potential assets. One path was content, one path was sports betting. We were pretty cynical about finding a sports betting asset that was good enough to leverage in the US, but the more we learned about CoolBet, the more we liked it. And so ultimately we decided to consummate a transaction to bring CoolBet into the GAN family and try and bring a lot of the highly interesting, unique sports gambler first user interface features to the US, because they're not present here in the US. And I think it's going to give our clients a real shot at differentiating their sports gambling experience as opposed to many of the big boys that are out there.
On the CoolBet piece, what does that actually do for you guys? It doesn't look like it's a sports book engine, right? Like they're not setting the lines, but it sounds like they're more of an interface, or are they actually the ones that come up with the bets and the props and all the other stuff?
Yeah. So they do it all. So they got a very large team of traders based in various locations around the world, but the biggest group of them are in Estonia. They do all the trading on all the sports, including US sports. They've got they're an award-winning bookmaker. They won a Bookmaker of the Year awards, mobile sports betting product awards as well. So they're very, very strong in mobile sports gambling product, and the user interface has got extraordinary number of features. So they have proprietary sports betting engine, placement and settlement technology, reporting, trading tools, everything you need to run a direct-to-consumer B2C operation of sports betting. And we've been very clear in saying we bought these guys because they do it all from a sports betting perspective. They don't do anything in the online casino side of that business, which is, of course, one of the strengths of GAN. So there's this very complementary revenue synergies, deploying CoolBet into the US and creating licensing revenues for GAN. And also in reverse, deploying our online casino capabilities onto their primary B2C consumer domain, coolbet.com. They're very big in Latin America. They're big in selected markets in Europe, and they've been very, very successful in a hyper-competitive space by bringing a brand new, very exciting, energetic consumer experience designed for sports gamblers by sports gamblers. So there's a ton of, and if you can get onto it, and I don't think you can unless you're a sophisticate in proxying. I'd encourage you to go and have a look.
We've had a few people on talking about sports betting and what that looks like in Europe. compared to the US and what online gaming looks like in Europe compared to the US. As these markets start to get approved and open up, how long do you think it takes us to catch up to like a European online gaming market in terms of the technology they have and kind of the depth they have?
It's going to be several years.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right to say that sports betting as a product proposition is still fairly substantially behind the state of the art in Europe. So, and that's sports betting as a product experience is a whole bunch of different things. It's everything from the pricing to the user interface to the fast rendering speed, the recreational gambler features, which are very social in nature. A lot of these features haven't yet surfaced to the American consumer in the US. And you've touched on a key issue, which I think the American market and the American sports gambling consumer online has only really had access to some fairly old, sticky, janky tech experiences offered by the Costa Rican boys and all the Caribbean guys. So I think the American consumer of sports gambling specifically is still some years behind what a typical UK or European consumer would demand in return for patronage. So it's going to be several years before we kind of get to the level. And one of the key indicators I always feel is what percentage of sports gambling revenues today in America are coming from in-running or live betting. And it's still, it's a substantial minority, but it's still a minority as opposed to Europe, where it's a majority of revenues. And of course, that's because in running tends to be higher margin than pre-game wagering. But at the same time, I think Americans are still gently stepping into the sports betting consumption cycle. And it does feel many ways a bit like Europe was, and the UK specifically, back in, say, 2004, 2005, 2006.
Fascinating. So you're saying that the sports betting piece is the piece that's going to take, longer to catch up, but maybe the online gaming piece will be quicker to adopt into the US?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the way that Michiganders have thrown themselves into the online casino offering, it's been very exciting. Yep. And they're playing all the usual suspect games. These are games that they recognize. I was just looking at one of our clients' website performance this morning, and surprise, Cleopatra was one of the top performing slots online. Right. And what a shock!
Shocker!
Yeah, right.
And then one of our other clients has got a large number of male-orientated online gamblers, and blackjack is number one for them. What a shock! So, I think American consumers are very familiar with the gaming content of America, and that's a critical point to acknowledge that. There's a lot of European content and Asian content, and there's a lot of low quality content that's out there. Really at the core of the American online casino players' demand are the same slot machines that they're used to playing whenever they visit Vegas or Atlantic City or maybe a locals casino. There's really an undiscovered opportunity in all the land-based, all land-based slot machine manufacturers, whether they're focused on class 2 or class 3, they should all have all of their content online. And it's of course, I'm talking my own book. It's one of the services GAN offers. We do say to people, if you don't want to buy an RGS and set up a big team and operate an RGS yourself, within our platform is an RGS capability, so we can develop your game inside our platform, as we have for DEQ, ZZ Baccarat, or Incredible Technologies, Crazy Money. We've done it again and again at Ainsworth. We've done a bunch of games for them. So we have the ability to take a slot machine, create an online version, and then carry it on our back every time we launch in these new states for our clients, and then just pop it up wherever we go.
Yeah, it's wild. So it may actually be easier to ask this in the other way. I was going to say, what are all the services you guys offer, but what in online gaming don't you do? Because I'm listening to you go on, and it's like, you want simulated, you want, system player management, you want games, is there an element of online that you're like, hey, we actually do, refer somebody to somewhere else, or do you guys kind of cover all the bases?
Well, we cover all the bases with an exception of Live Dealer. Live Dealer for me is very heavy infrastructure. It's really about setting up a physical casino and manage. Everybody seems to have a position that Live Dealer is technology in Europe, and for me, it's always been about retail casino infrastructure and having very significant investments in the capital-intensive employee groups required to staff live tables. The tech piece doesn't strike me as the most complicated, live streaming and transaction resolutions, but the sheer magnitude and skill of some of the major live dealers is super impressive, and that's not something we have appetite to go into at the moment. But never say never. We do have a big mandate from shareholders go and do some bolt-on acquisitions or asset purchases or asset licensing deals to augment the existing casino content. And we really think, online slots, more GAN proprietary online slots would be great. But we need to kind of execute against that by buying in the right people, the right resources, maybe even content libraries over time.
So what excites you most about online casino coming to the US?
Looking forward, yeah.
Online casino specifically, I think it's
just anything. What are you most excited about the future for what you guys are doing? Obviously, getting approvals and hitting scale, just running.
Scale. I was reading a note from MGM saying, that they're expecting to see, from Morgan Stanley, which is a great research house, and they're talking about, they expect to see more than a dozen states regulate really in the first 6, 7, 8 months of this year. So the total addressable market for regulated internet gambling is going to double from a purely legislative standpoint in 2021. So I think because of COVID, a lot of the legislative processes just ground to a halt necessarily, and we're going to see like a spring uncoiling rapidly. We're going to see a lot of legislation. Of course, all the states are driving demand for more forms of state taxation revenues. So internet gambling is one of those magical things you can reach in and grab. But I do think that I think Morgan Stanley forecast 2, maybe 3 states would regulate online casino this year. I think it may well be more than that, because for every $1 in tax revenue you get from sports betting, you're going to get another 4 if you regulate online casino. Online casino sits at the heart of every online gambling operator's profitability. It always has and always will. But the same is true for individual states looking to generate more magical state revenues for themselves to benefit from. And so many states have been, permanently impacted by the COVID economic car crash that I think we're going to see more people chopping the political wood required to get online casino regulated. And for the first time, I've seen nothing but uniformity in approach from the casino industry. Typically, retail casino executive groups, you've had half of them sitting on the fence saying, well, we don't know if we want this, it's complicated and we're not sure if we can control it, and therefore we're not sure we can win, whereas we win in retail. A lot of that has kind of disappeared, as almost without exception. There's always an exception, but almost without exception, we've had all casino executive groups saying, yes, we want online casino, because they can all see the numbers. You can see it. Yes, you want online sports because 90% of the sports betting revenue opportunity comes from online sports, not retail sports. But then it gets dwarfed again by the online casino opportunity, which is, it's overly simplistic and reductive, but the online gambling revenue opportunity is a pie, and it's 1/3 is from sports gambling. The major sports betting operators here in the US have started to subtly shift their messaging, saying, sports betting is great, but it's great primarily as a way of driving people into the online casino for the first time.
Yeah. Do we think, because it feels like a few states regulated sports only, and I don't know if that was just the fear, like, do you think that now more and more of the prevalence will actually be online casino? Because obviously the business folks want it because it's so profitable, but do you think the regulators will allow full casino and sports like they did in Michigan, or do you think you'll still see these sports only laws? Like, I think, isn't Washington sportsbook only versus online casinos not yet allowed?
Yep. So Washington would be if there is a continuum of conservative to expansionary, then Washington would very much has almost begrudgingly allowed retail sports betting to happen. So seeing Washington move to full online casino gaming is a bit of a reach, but never say never, right? I think you're going to see some states surprise everybody by coming straight out of the gates and saying we're going to swing for online casino, online sports. Online sports betting is basically, as referendums have proven, it's 51% politically amenable, right? And whether it's 51% or 60% doesn't really matter. But it's, by and large, if you're a politician, you're not going to lose that many votes by supporting online sports betting or retail sports betting. Online casino is a little bit more negative. It's a little bit more politically charged, correctly, because there's been retail gaming for a very, very long time. And you've got, the two camps, those in support and those against, for a whole host of reasons. So online casino is that much more challenging for politicians. But 2021 is the environment where the politicians can stand back and say, well, we don't care if you don't like it. Online casino is how we generate an extra $50 million for the state treasury, and boy, oh boy, do we need it right now. And that's why, if you want me to make some big calls, I can see Nevada deciding that, particularly in the wake of the passing of the great Sheldon Adelson, I think you're going to see a surprise online casino is coming to Nevada within the next 12 months. And surprise, surprise, remote, untethered, remote registration sports betting is also coming to Nevada sooner rather than later. So for other regulators in other states who very much look up towards, the major gaming states as the big responsible bellwethers, and whatever they're doing, if they do it, then it's okay for us to do it too. So never say never about New York. Cuomo is very clear. He's trying to hand the keys to the kingdom to the lottery, but our clients in New York seem to suggest that it's going to be a 2 skin per casino, and that online casino gaming is just a political heartbeat away.
It's going to be so much fun to watch how all of these companies kind of merge together. You have FanDuel, DraftKings, Betfred. You've got different sports betting platforms, different online casino platforms. You've got the vendors. You've got the casinos, Paul Interactive making their own.
It's an industry.
Yeah,
it's a crazy industry. So as like people are listening to this podcast, right? And say I'm an operator of a brick and mortar casino and all these things are flying at me. How do I make an educated decision on what platform I bring into my casino? Because to your point earlier, like we get one shot for this, right? Once you condition your players to that platform, you want to stay with that
hard
platform.
To switch. Yeah.
So what are we looking for?
Let me give you the case study of Jack Entertainment in Ohio. Jack is our client, has been since 2015. We launched simulated gaming, casino gaming for them online in, it was fall of 2016. They're now staring down the turnpike and seeing internet sports betting coming at them pretty rapidly in Ohio. So regulations probably get done soon this year. We'll probably take the first online sports bet in Ohio by the end of this year. And all of that visibility drove Jack to very intelligently turn around to GAN and say, look, you're providing us as simulated online gaming where people can play simulated online casino games. It's great. We built up a big database, hundreds of thousands of people now in our database that we can market to in the future. But how about we integrate and launch simulated sports betting? And we kind of raised our collective eyebrows and we said, really? And then we plugged in a sports engine and we launched simulated sports betting in August last year. Literally fake money sports betting, not DFS.
Yeah.
DFS is like poker meets sports betting with real money. But this was simulated fake money, sports gambling, and a regulated experience. A bet slip, add bets, or place your bet, and then do you win your bet, even in running. So we sat back and said, well, we just don't know. But because our client is saying they're willing to have a go, let's try it and see what happens. So we launched in August, and it's the doldrums of sports, and surprise, the active player base who are casino players kind of shrug a little bit, and it's a bit of a nothing burger. Skip forward to NFL kicking off in September, and then suddenly we see a stream of new Ohioans signing up on playjack.com for the first time and placing in advance of the weekend games that they can watch on TV, placing $50,000 virtual sports bets. And you're looking at it, you're going, now I'm beginning to be more of a believer that simulated sports betting is a great way for retail casinos to get online and start, and you have a product experience that not all sports gamblers, but a substantial minority of sports gamblers wants to engage with, because when they watch the NFL game on TV, they can say to their friends or their family, say, well, I've got a $50,000 bet on this, probably knowingly lying to their friends that it's fake money, it's not real money. So it sounds obscure and unrealistic, but we were very, very surprised to see the same number of bets on average placed in simulated sports betting as placed for real money. It's a great advantage from a marketing standpoint, just as the DFS guys have got a great advantage having been building up their own databases. And I think it's in the public domain that 30-40% of all online sports gamblers are coming directly from those DFS databases. Probably one of the reasons why Bally bought Monkey Knife Fight a few days ago.
Yeah. The company names are fantastic to me. Just some of these, Monkey Knife Fight is a sports company. Never would have thought.
Yeah. Well, it's in the category of anything can be a brand.
Yeah, it's probably easy to get the URL, right? You go, hey, no one's got this. You could just go in and you don't have to go buy it from somebody, and then get the big.
Then they're going to spend 10 years negotiating with the owner of mkf.com.
Yeah, exactly. Only forever. If they get sick of saying it. I don't know. I don't know if that lady did you a favor or not, but it's funny. She's like, I don't want to say all these words. I'm just going to go abbreviation style. Like
her name was Gillian Findley, and she was the I think the CEO's right hand lady at the time. Sure. Very smart lady. She's now in Australia running her own online business of some sort.
Got it. We'll take that move. That's awesome.
So one question we didn't get to ask you yet, and I think a lot of our listeners would like to hear, but how did you get into the gaming industry?
I didn't. I got into the video games industry.
Okay.
The origin story of GAN was always and had always been intended to be a skill-based games company. So we wanted to enable competitions of skill in the UK as a UK company under the operation of the law in existence at the time in 2002. kind of Section 14 of the Lotteries and Amusements Act 1972 allowed you to conduct online competitions where small stakes were exchanged between players as long as they were playing a game of skill, where skill was the predominant driver of whatever the outcomes were. So you could have small elements of chance, but it had to be mostly skill. So we started off live launching an online golf game. Online golf, 4 people could play a game that kind of looked a bit like Nintendo's golf game at the time, top-down perspective, and you could play a round of 18 holes, and you could chat to each other, and you could bet £5 each, so you got £20 in the pool, and then us, the house, we take a 10% commission. And we all thought we're desperately clever until somebody who's far more intelligent than I pointed out that, based on the fact that 4 people were spending 2 hours of game time, that wasn't really a particularly good yield per player hour, right? Hour. So we thought, you need this on the internet. So skip forward to 2007. We launched our first online casino game when the laws changed, and that really, the scales fell from my eyes. I had a bit of a Damascene conversion as you saw just the sheer velocity of revenue generation of a game as simplistic as European roulette. So that really started us down the path. In 2010, we became a platform provider. And then in 2011, we did our first deal in the United States, which got us positioned to launch the very first free-to-play slot gaming website, actually featuring Aristocrat slots delivered to one of their clients at the time, Maryland Live. Maryland Live was a casino in Baltimore owned by the Cordish Group. Cordish today is a client of GAN's for both simulated gaming and real money internet gambling. We launched playlive.com, Live being their principal consumer brand here in the US. So it's been quite a journey, but day one, originally we had fantastical visions of, hey, why don't we let people play Doom against each other for small stakes, which was something I was doing at college way back in the day as a law student and super nerd, video game geek. I'd rent out then high-powered PCs for the local computer squad to play Doom against each other, which escalated into Doom skill-based betting on their own performance, who could kill each other the fastest. So I think really I got into this industry by accident, and I remain a huge video game nerd. Awesome. Not that I've got time to play any video games, but I'm a big fan of watch out for VR. I'm a big believer in virtual reality. Look at what Facebook's doing with Oculus Quest 2, and eventually, once they figure out the form factor, and you don't look like a complete dork wearing those headsets, it will become relevant.
When do those two merge? Industry. VR and online gambling.
So you have online poker apps if you want to. You can do lots and lots of different things. There's an explosion of VR apps, but I do think within the next 5 years, maybe even 3 years, you're going to see probably Facebook achieve a 10 million sell-through to create the first VR platform that's of a scale that can support an ecosystem of software developers who can make a reasonable amount of money and effectively a living. Historically, since launch in April of 2016, consumer VR, high-end consumer VR, forget about mobile VR for a sec, high-end consumer VR has just been too super niche-y. There just aren't that many Dermot Smurfits in their 40s who's super nerds with some disposable income who spends $2,000 on a PC and several $100s buying a high-end consumer VR headset. So today, skip forward 4.5 years, you've actually got for $400 you can get an incredible device, the Oculus Quest 2, and I think that is going to be the first device with Facebook's backing and Zuckerberg's own stamp and drive behind it. We're going to see 10 million of those active on a monthly basis, probably within the next 2 years, maybe 3 years at the outset, and that's when you begin to get the inflection point where you're going to get a lot of VR software developers, a lot of game developers today who've been focused on mobile games, which is now a very difficult environment to get into, are going to move into the VR space.
It's going to be a crazy world. I keep saying that at some point they're going to have VR goggles where you go into the casino, but you're playing on the white label app and you're at Pachanga, you're at Maryland Live.
Well, we actually did that back in, it was summer of 2016, and I was so excited as a consumer of high-end VR. I was so excited by the visceral, magical experience that I convinced some of my tech guys in London that we should hire Unity developers. We got a Unity developer with a couple other guys, and we developed a VR casino for Empire City Casino that's now owned by MGM. And we published it on their website, and you could log in for simulated gaming. You could play these slot games, which are effectively superimposed on the 3D slot machines in the virtual environment. And we had some downloads, but it was a 1 gigabyte download. So you can imagine how many people were prepared to do that. But the principal feedback that came back to us was individuals who were excited about the idea of maybe finding a gun somewhere and robbing the casino. And that's kind of when we realized, well, we were creating the VR casino for you to go and play these amazing slot games. And actually you're telling us that we're matching the product experience, the environment with the wrong demographic. Really, these were Grand Theft Auto kind of people who want to go do.
How do I break into the cash desk?
In a video game world.
That's hilarious. Hey, so as a gamer, we're gonna switch over to our last two questions in just a second, but I'm interested. So, you mentioned you're a video game nerd, played your whole life. Do you have a go-to handle? Like, do you have an online alias that you go to, or is it just like D Smurfit? Like, what's your online handle that you use?
Dermster. DERMSTER. Yeah, we also affectionately know everybody at GAN as Gansters. Not gangsters, but Gansters.
So that missing G is very important. Yeah, that's cool.
Yes. Got
to get the shirts made and the whole program.
Yeah.
So now that you are in the gaming industry, even though you didn't really necessarily get into it, you just kind of fell into it. We like to ask all of our users if they can share a gambling story with us. It doesn't have to be where you won a lot of money, just a time where you had fun, you were out with friends and you guys were gambling, maybe playing slots or tables or even online.
We know the most disappointing part of being in the regulated online gambling space in the US is that you're actually not allowed to gamble online or in the retail channel. I don't know if you know this, but you get in New Jersey. It used to be so much fun, but in New Jersey, as a licensed gaming executive, you just can't do anything. You just
not even brick and mortar.
So not even brick and mortar. So it's all slightly more disappointing as an experience. But no, I mean, from a gambling standpoint, I'll give you a gambling business story once, which just sits to the core truth of trust the math, right? I always tell people, trust the math. We will sometimes get casinos, and particularly individuals who work inside retail casinos, ringing us up saying, we're really worried that your technology is broken. And you go, well, why? I said, well, somebody won money yesterday. And we go, well, it happens. They won money on blackjack. What a surprise. It's a 99% hold blackjack rule variant. So, of course, or even roulette. And we actually had an experience, and this is going back to 2009, with a European client of ours that had our roulette game up and running on their sports gambling website. And we got exactly this call saying, there's a problem with your game, your roulette game. We said, no, there isn't. They said, yes, there is. Somebody's won €250,000, which is about $350,000 playing roulette yesterday. And we're really worried and we're going to turn the game off. And our answer was, that would be ridiculous. Why would you turn the game off? Just like the Scorsese movie Casino, always let them play. This particular client of ours turned around and said, well, look, it's just, we're just too worried about it. And so we're going to switch the game off. And I said, whoa. Tell you what, I called up the CEO and I said, we'll put our money where our mouth is. You're $300,000 down against this player on this particular game. Let the guy continue to play and we'll take 50% of the action from this point. So in other words, if the guy wins another $300K from you, then GAN will send you $150,000 the next day. We'll take 50% of the action. But if he loses the money back to you, then of course you're going to send us money in return. And that's exactly what happened. The guy kept on playing, pretty volatile. It was roulette. So, with the margin of roulette is 97.3% return to player. So we trusted the maths and our own technology. And the CEO of this particular B2C online retail sports betting operator was fired within a few days by the owner of the business when he realized what had just happened.
That's pretty cool story.
When he signed the check back to you for 150 G's because the guy lost all his money back, they're like, hey, that's a smart bet for you guys. But
he actually ended up losing the guts of €1 million within a few days of doing that deal. So, it was just one of those things where I always encourage, look, sports betting is incredibly volatile, right? So if you're running an online sports book, you're going to lose money, 2 or 3 days, almost every week, not quite, but almost every week. Whereas online casino, it's a mathematical monster. It's a machine. We've been operating online in the US for 3,000 days, give or take, and we've only had 4 or 5 loss-making days in that period. So trust the math. At a certain level of scale, volatility in online casino disappears, just as it does in the retail environment.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's fascinating. And then the other thing we ask everybody is we issue what's called the Max Bet Challenge. So we enjoyed chatting with you. Who would you like to see us chat with in a future episode?
Let me think. I would say Mark Cuban would be really interesting. He's a neighbor of mine here in Southern California. Mark Cuban, if you can get him on the show, would be amazing.
We might have to go to your house so we can go knock on his door. I think we'd love to chat with him. I don't know if we can get a hold of him, but that would be fantastic.
I see him jogging in the area from time to time, so I will collar him if I can and get him on your show. But I think there's some pretty long odds on any successful outcome there.
Why not? He's been called out before. We're in Southern Cal. I live in San Diego. I thought
I'm just up the road. I'm in Laguna Beach, Southern California. So
very cool.
Just from Newport Beach. We have an executive function here in Irvine, California. It's about 20 minutes drive inland from here. I'm actually heading in there shortly, but very sadly closed as an office for quite some time. So looking forward to reopening that later this year.
Mike and I just played Pelican last week, Pelican Hill. Love that.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. I love Newport.
Lovely.
You get out and golf at all, or you swing them at all, or are you mostly indoor guy?
I am an occasional golfer, and I'm nicknamed the digger in my family. I dig way too many. So I'm not necessarily the guy that you want to play with, but I would hope I'm amusing company on the golf course, if nothing else.
You just create your own golf game. You're like, you know what? I don't get that whole the golf game. I'll just create my own simulated golf game.
That's hilarious.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time, Dermot. Glad to see the Tesla, where you not only did the big deal for going public, but also did Max Bet podcast. So it's your biggest calls all take place in the Tesla.
Pleasure and a privilege. Mike, lovely to see you again.
Yeah,
guys,
likewise.
take care.
Nice meeting you, Dermot. Take care, guys.